Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park 20 playthrough with the Phillies. We're getting close to the midway part of the 2041 season. Just finished the draft, and might go over the draft a little bit. It was kind of non-eventful. We had the best record in baseball last year, so we didn't get a pick until the very last pick in that first round. We did get a supplemental pick, but it was kind of so-so. I think probably the best thing in that draft this year, even though I've said that I need to start moving away from pitching, that was what was available. And I got some really pretty good relievers mid-rounds. And so I think I got some good pitching depth in the draft, a few good offensive players that might turn into regulars or starters, but it wasn't too exciting. But the big story really is how bad we're playing. If you look at the standings, I don't think it's telling the whole story, but we're barely, in my opinion, 7 games over 500. It's barely above 500. Even though we're leading in the East, I've got some concerns. And this episode, I'd like to get to around the All-Star break, and that'll give me a better idea of what I'm going to have to be looking at when that trading deadline comes around. But we did end the going up to the draft. We did kind of end on a high note. We won 4 in a row, but we got Washington coming up, and I think we're going to have a hard time holding off some of these teams, even though they're struggling right now. I expect, especially the Braves, they're really struggling. Unless we can gain some ground and start winning more, I think one of these teams has a good chance of catching us. But we'll take a look at the team first, and then we'll get started on it. Checking out the pitching staff, Parker has honestly been good. I mean, he has started out really about as solid as you can hope for with his ratings. I mean, he's on pace for 16 wins. ERA is at 219, 221. So he's really been good so far. Thompson, however, has struggled, even though he's picked up 6 wins on pace for 16. His ERA is up to 465. The walks are, his control, even though my scout thinks his control is already there. OSA thinks his control is already there. I'm not really sure why his numbers haven't started coming closer in line with his ratings, but hopefully he'll have a better second half. Looking at the splits, April was just pretty horrendous for him. 5 starts, a 6.58 ERA, but in a start in June, he's picked up a win there and ERA at 3, so I'm hopeful that he's trending in the right direction. I did go ahead and move Hadakiyama, who was the guy I picked up in free agency last offseason. I moved him to the closer role because Mendoza, his numbers aren't there either. He's at a 4.75 ERA. He's in the negative in wins above replacement. He's lost 4 games. I don't think, he's already down to 2.5 stars from my scout, so he's not somebody I can rely on to close games right now. So I've got him. I moved him down to middle relief. So that was a big change there in that pitching staff. Some injuries. Contreras has been up and down all season. So I'm going Murdoch Ings, and he has responded. 7 starts, just 1 win, but a 2.27 ERA. Dion has struggled, 5.48 ERA, just 2 wins. That's got to get better in the second half for sure. And it might be that might be what I have to look for. As good as I thought this pitching staff was, that might be what I'm looking for at the trade deadline. Offensively, in some cases, it's even worse. We've had some injuries to contend with there. The big one is I picked up Koopman, who has been a member of this team for, I guess, 6-7 years, a starter primarily for that time, and he has been injured already, and so I'm really struggling at second. I pulled up a guy from high A, to take his place because I still do not trust Dante Eubanks in that role, although I'm going to try to give him some playing time here. against lefties. I'm not liking what I'm seeing in the offense. Tupper has been productive, 15 home runs, 45 RBIs. Pritchard has turned out to be a good signing from that offseason. But Warlick has been really, really struggling. I don't know what's going on with this guy. It's leading me to wonder if maybe that last offseason or last half season for us was a fluke. I hope not. He's still young. Hopefully he gets back on track, but we may have some big gaps to take care of when the trading deadline comes around. Taking a look at the injured list, of course McAfee, we knew he was gone, but Koopman out for another 3 weeks. Contreras now out for another 6 weeks. He's going to be completely ineffective this year. So that leaves me kind of looking at AAA. I mean, I don't have the depth at pitching that I thought I did. There's only maybe a couple guys here that I could call up in a pinch. And then offensively, still got Benefield, Villalobos. I got some guys there if I have some injuries in the outfield, for instance, that I can call up. But second it has turned into a real troublesome area. Gutierrez has looked back on track at short, but it's going to be tough because I don't have the budget room really to make a big trade for like an all-star type player. So I just hope that the pitching staff starts turning it around, because if we're going to win, I think it's going to be from their pitching. But let's go ahead and get it started. We'll start simming through some of these games. First one up, home against Washington. And we win 7-3, so that's 5 in a row. And we got a big injury here. 4 weeks, but a pretty poor minor league player. All right, so Vega, another guy who's struggling. He was good in this game. Gutierrez had another good game. Ings picked up his second win, so I'm liking this guy more and more. If the viewer who's from Thunder Bay, Ontario, if you're still watching, hey, he might be making a run. He might turn into a regular here. All right, so game 2 against Washington, but we received a trade proposal. Let me look at that real quick. From Atlanta. I hate trading inside that division, and they wanted Pete Parker. There's no way I could do that. This guy's wrecked. And Mike Rudd, pretty big young player. He's gone for the season for Boston. Some big injuries happen here in the rest of the league. All right, game 2, 8-4. Another good offensive performance. Bond, 2 for 5, drove in 3. Warlick, 2 for 5. That's good to see. Barbarossa, his 4th win, 7 pretty strong innings. And now game 3, can we sweep them? And we do, 2-0. So we have won, I think that's 7 in a row. So that's what we're going to need to do. We're 10 games over 500 now. Bond, a good game here. Radeball even, 2 for 4. That middle of the lineup, though, still struggling from 3, 4, 5. Those guys are really not doing great. But how about Parker? 8 innings shutout to pick up his 7th win. Hadakayama, his 10th save. So he's looking pretty good in that closer role so far. And now it looks like I'm not. Let me see how the draftees are coming around. I got all these pending offers out. Nobody's accepted yet. That's kind of odd to be this far down. Let me see if that changes this next week. And the big thing, I went with the starting pitcher first with the first pick. I like his, he reminds me honestly of Thompson with his potential there, but he wanted a lot, and I decided to go with it. I mean, he's 17, but I thought that was something I could handle right now. All right, so players of the week: Sean Jackson for New York, B.J. Clark for the Mets. And then power rankings, we've moved up a little bit to 7th, so that's good news. Standings wise, we did gain some ground there against Miami. Surprisingly, Miami. I didn't think they would be one of the teams to beat in the division this year. Chicago having a good start, and Arizona, man, 652 winning percentage right now. even though I probably won't have a chance at anything, I'm going to check the waiver wire again. And I tell you, with Mendoza starting to tank so much, it might be I may have to take a look at some relievers who come up here. As much as I don't want to admit that, because I've got him signed for another year at $11 million. All right, so game one at home against Cincinnati, another shutout, 6-0, back-to-back shutouts. Pritchard 2 for 4 at the top of the lineup. Ken Dion drove in a couple, had a great game, 7 1/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, 11 Ks. That's what I'd like to see from Dion going forward. And then game 2 against Cincinnati, 3-1 in extra innings in 14 innings. So Pritchard, another 2-hit game. Gutierrez 2 for 6. Norman 2 for 4. Zach Thompson, a solid outing, 7 innings, just 1 earned run, but it took the bullpen to pull away with it. So we're now 12 games above 500 and 7-2. I think that's 10 in a row now. It's been a while since I've had that kind of a winning streak. So in 7-2, Tuck looking pretty good, getting some time there with some of the platoon issues I'm dealing with in that outfield. Vega, did he get a home run here? Yeah, his 10th home run. And then pitching-wise, Ings, 6 innings, just 2 runs to get his 3rd win. And then looking at the news here, so now we're getting some guys accepting my offers. So now we're down to, yeah, we did get the first guy, so that's pretty good. And he probably went to, it looks like he did go to the Gulf Coast League team. All right, so now a new series going up against Milwaukee at home. And we got another trade proposal, reliever for Warlick. Not a good enough reliever. I'm almost, if Warlick doesn't turn it around, I may have to cut my losses with him. And I'd be willing to cut my losses at this point, the way he's playing, but it's got to be a pretty decent player. All right, so we've won 10 in a row, but how about the Mets? They've won 8 of 10, but 6 back. So we've gained a pretty big ground here. And finally lose 2-1. Not much offense, although Radeball is starting to impress me a little bit. 2 for 3. Barbarossa, not a bad outing for him, but just couldn't get the offense going. Game 2 against Milwaukee, another 1-run loss. Oh, man. Don't like to see that. So that's offense is still struggling. Parker pitched a great game, 6 innings, just 1 run. Scott, who has been really solid all year, gave up a couple runs. All right, so now we're in danger of being swept here at home. And we do. 0-3. 0-3. So now 3.5 games up on New York, so they're starting to win. Again, that offense just not doing much at all. Ken Dion, another great game. 8 innings, no runs, but DeCluet really blew it in the bullpen. All right, so take a look at the news here. Steve Bond wants to re-sign. At his age, 4.6. I'll give that another thought later in the season. So we got Cincinnati coming up again, 4 games, but it's on the road. Stars of the week, Mike Constant and Luis Godinez. And for power rankings, we're down to 8th. We dropped a little bit. So after that 10-game winning streak, we've lost 3 in a row. New York, they've won 8 of 10. And, we have the pitching, Barbarossa, Parker on that ERA list. Pitcher wins above replacement. Pete Parker second. But if you look at their team stats, it's the offense. I mean, they're 10th in on-base percentage, 14th in extra base hits. It's just really killing us right now. And in terms of the coach, I got a excellent hitting coach here. I know his primary, he's focused on power, so it's not a good sign, I don't think, when he's, the hitting coach's focus is power, and we're fifth in home runs. That's highest we've been in a while, but still, we can't sacrifice everything else to power. I've never been that kind of a team, and I hope we get this back in line. All right, so let's go ahead and get things going against Cincinnati. I do want to check the waiver wire. Once again, nothing really too outstanding there. Game 1, a 9-5 win. Good way to get back on track. Warlick's still struggling, 207. Thompson, good outing from him to get his 7th win. So that's probably going to put him on pace was still on pace for 16 wins. Mendoza, though, in relief, just 1 inning, 2 runs. I hate when guys just lose their stuff so quickly. And he has really lost it quickly. I mean, he's gone from a 5-star reliever to a 2.5-star reliever in the course of a year. So we lose the second game 4-5. Warlick, though, a good game, 2 for 3, drove in 3. Ings, a solid game, but Condeshera, 4 runs in a third of an inning. We can't have that either. We can't have that bullpen start to lose it and tank. And 3-6 against Cincinnati. Gosh, we're just we're back to playing the way we were before I started this episode. Not getting closer and closer to 500. Warlick, though, another good game. Vega, 2 for 3. Barbarossa, though, 6 runs in 4 2/3 innings. His worst outing of the year. Now, we had a personal message here. Looks like it was just one of those, not a trade offer, so it's not really something that's going to help us. All right, so game 4, we need this win just to get a split, and we'd lose 5-7. And now New York just 2.5 behind us. Pritchard, a good game, 3 for 7, drove in 4. Warlick again, 2 for 3. Vega, 2 for 4. Parker, a good game. He's getting, it's kind of like the problem he had at times last year. Even when he's pitching good, he's not getting the decision. But Mendoza, 2 runs and 2 1/3. I don't know what I'm going to do if this guy just can't be relied on. And looking at the last 2 months, that's scary stuff. It's very scary stuff. So at the moment, I'm going to have to use him less often for sure. And let's see if that makes any kind of difference. And we got Rocky Stromain injured. 3 months. That's a big blow for Minnesota. All right, so this is an important series coming up against Miami on the road. And we win the first one 1-0. And that's probably, I'm thinking that's going to be, no, it's Dion. Hopefully he got the win here. Pritchard drove in the only run, so it must have been a home run. It was, and Dion got his 4th win. He's looked pretty good in his last few starts. Looking at his splits for the year, June, 4 starts, .68 ERA, so that's good from him. Now game 2 against Miami, we really need this series, and we win 2-1. And once again, this is how we're winning. When we're winning, it seems like a lot of times it's low-scoring games. It's all about that pitching. And Tupper averaged down to 217. I didn't notice that. He was hitting 250 when we started. So his June, he's hitting 131. The offense is such a struggle right now. Thompson, his 8th win. ERA now down to 389. So that's good news. Puts him on pace for 17 wins. And now this last game against Miami, a sweep would be nice, but we can't do it. 3-8. Warlick hitless, so he's back to struggling, I guess. And Ings, one of his worst outings, 5 runs in 3 2/3. So we're still gaining. Well, we're not running away with it, but New York hit a rough patch there. So they're back to 500. We're up 4.5 games. A trade proposal from St. Louis, another pitcher for Joe Scott. This guy's not good enough. Scott is really dependable. I do want to reject that trade. And then players of the week, Sumbry, I'm not familiar with him, and for California. and Zion Jadot, another new guy, just 23, San Diego. Power rankings, we are down to 12th. Oh man, really struggled this last week. Lost we're 3-7 in our last 10 games. That'll really eat away at a lead for sure. And we've got Atlanta and Miami coming up, both at home though. And I really am surprised at where Atlanta is. So we're now up to the midseason goals already. Even though, what is that? We're 77 games in. Okay, so owner, he's happy with how we've done the first half. Not good with first base. He wanted us to improve there, but he is happy that we improved in home runs. Of course, he wanted us to keep Sean Riggs. I wanted us to keep Sean Riggs, even though, look at this line from Sean Riggs. 228 average, 51 walks, which is good. Nothing really to be super excited about. So I'm thinking, I guess I can cut my losses with this guy. No way would I pay him $27 million. And he wanted me to acquire an MVP. Pritchard is probably the best offensive player I've got so far, so that's not going to do too well. So we got some expiring personnel, but it's all in the minors. I'll look at that later in the year. And Wincio Perez played with us for a little while. He's finally retiring. This guy had a really good career. A good defensive shortstop, 5-time Gold Glove Award winner. But just under 2,600 hits, 1,300 runs, so 468 stolen bases. He got injured with us and missed a full season. And I think it kind of derailed his career a little bit. He came into us and had, I thought, one of his best offensive years. Scored 108 runs. I mean, this is the kind of player he is. He's primarily a defensive player, but he got 86 stolen bases in a couple years for us. He was a great player in his prime. Not a Hall of Famer, but a really good defensive and all-around good player. All right, one thing I want to do before we start this series, waiver wire again, and it's empty right now. So game 1 against Atlanta at home, and we lose 4-7. Jamie Koopman is ready to come off, which might be good news. Just depends. I'm going to give him probably a week or so in the minors. And they'll probably start him, I'm thinking, at Lehigh Valley, but let's double check. Start him at third. It's kind of odd. All right. So check the news real quick. I thought there was a personal message up. But so we lose 4-7 that first game. Barbarossa, another bad start, it looks like. No, he actually was good, is Morrison. Morrison is another guy. I'm going to have to probably start using him less often, unfortunately. I don't know what happened, but you can see a 7.18 ERA. Just not doing a good job at all. Start that he had to the season was terrible, and it looks like he has not gotten back where he needs to be. So, Morrison, I'm gonna probably have to upgrade going into the trading deadline. All right, game 2 looks like we won 6-4. Bond 4 for 5, good game from him. Vega drove in 3. Norman 3 for 3. His average is pretty good this year. Pete Parker got a win finally, his 8th, and Hadakayama save number 13 from him. So game 3 here. Let's see if we can win this series. That'd be a good sign, hopefully. And we do 5-3. Warlick 2 for 3. Averages at 219, which is better than it was when it started, but still not where he needs to be. Pritchard had a good game, but his average is dipped. And Ken Dion, another win. He's 5-5, 8 innings again, 9 Ks. I think, look at that line, or look at the last 4 starts: 7 1/3, 8, 7, 8. when he's on a roll, that's the kind of pitching he gives you. He's going to be up for arbitration this year. I hope I can keep him for another few years. I hope he's still productive. And now we're going up against Miami. But we do have a trade proposal here. Another pitcher for Gutierrez. Again, can't afford to lose him. And Miami is now 4 games under 500. So they kind of hit a slide here. New York's still is 4 games behind us. So we would really need to win this series. And game 1 we lose 4-6. Vega 2 for 4, drove in 2. Thompson, bad outing from him. 5 runs in 5 2/3. All right, so game 2 against Miami, 7-10, not good. And there's an injury here, 6 to 7 weeks. 7-10, that's terrible. Warlick was 2 for 4, Vega 3 for 4. That's good as far as it goes, but Ings, another bad outing from him. So that's 2 in a row. His magic may be going away. And then Morrison, 2 runs in an inning. Now he's up for free agency this year. If he can't get it going by the All-Star break, I would let the guy go at this point. I don't think I need to hold on to him if he's just going to play like that. And Eric George, 5 hits down there in AA Reading. Still got some hope that this guy's going to be a starter for me in the future. All right, so now game 3 against Miami. We need this one bad. And we lose 11-3 in 13 innings. So we lost, swept by Miami at home. Not a good week. Barbarossa, a good game. Alvarado, but Scott, uncharacteristically terrible outing from him. 7 runs and 1 1/3 inning. All right, so we're July 1st. A lot of news here. Let me see if there's anything that's going to concern us. So, Players of the Week, Juan Mateo for Cleveland and Vega for Philadelphia. I didn't expect that, so that might be a good sign. 5 home runs in 6 games here. Let's see. Should be at the monthly winners. Jeremy Myers, guy's been really productive for Seattle the last few years in the American League. Trujillo for Colorado in the National League. Garrido, man, he's having a pretty good year there for Cleveland. And then he was the pitcher of the month in the American League. Jamie Burnham, who was the rookie of the month last year. This guy's going to be phenomenal. 5 stars already. Got great stuff. It's going to be a high strikeout. It looks like a lot of wins type pitcher. He's going to be one to watch. Rookies of the month, Armenta and Sadat, and power rankings were all the way down to 15th. Lowest we've been in a while. And waiver wire, Ramirez, not good enough. But looking at the month we had, 15-12, better than May and April. But offense picked it up in some cases a little bit better. But, man, the bullpen. ERA down to 10th. Big question marks right there. And so now I'm going to probably put Koopman. How is he doing? Yeah, he's looking really good. I'm going to put Koopman back. And I'm going to move Radeball. I might put him to AA. I think he can probably handle it now. And I'm sure he would be the starter down there, but let me double check. Yeah. And then I'm going to bring Koopman back up, put him immediately into that lineup at second. Going to give Dante Eubanks some starting time there a little bit. Koopman here. And then Koopman against lefties with all right, that'll look good. So we're going to be on the road against Atlanta. This is going to be another big series for us. We do have international free agents just came out. I typically I don't do a whole lot there. It has to be just a really certified 5-star player before I'll go for him. Although this my scout's not that high on him. I think I'll pass. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of 5-star potential guys lately in that international free agent, so wanting Gutierrez, can't do it. All right, so first game on the road against Atlanta, 8-0. Man, big blow there in the minors if he's a good player. Out for 14 months. But Pritchard, a good game here. Bond was pretty good, but it was mainly Parker, 6 2/3 innings, no runs, 9th win, so he's on pace for 17. Game 2 against Atlanta, 5-0, back-to-back shutouts. Warlick 2 for 4, drove in 3. That's good to see from him. Dion may have been injured. Oh, man. 1 in the 3rd innings. Alvarado, the bullpen came in and looked good. I'm hoping that's not a big injury. That would be devastating right now. So we got another trade proposal, this time from Toronto. Pat, everybody's wanting Gutierrez right now. And that's a good-looking pitcher. Really is. Although he's fragile, but I just can't do it. All right, so game 3 against Atlanta on the road, 4-2, very good win. So we sweep Atlanta on the road. Norman 2 for 4, looks like he had a good series. Thompson, 9th win from him, 8 strong innings. And now just waiting for that Dion injury. And he's gone for the year. Or at least he's gone for 4 months. That's going to be tough right there. And I don't think Contreras is quite ready to come back. He's still probably 3 weeks away. Whew. Who would have thought that it was going to be the pitching that was going to give me the biggest grief going into this season? Waiver wire. There's a good looking center fielder there, offensively anyway. This guy could possibly be a starter, but in terms of like who's on the trading block, don't have too much wiggle room. But we got Steve Walker making $21 million. Jonathan Becker only making 1.4, but the problem that I have with him is he only has 3 pitches, and that worries me. But and he's not that good against lefties. Jamie Deal, fragile, not a very good personality. Rankings from him: Calicut out for 4 to 5 weeks. Sean Woolard, teeth. Now he's going to be a free agent after this year. But now let me see what my scout thinks. He's a mid-rotation guy. He's good against righties and lefties. Let me see what they would take. Norman, Scott, Thompson, Eubanks. Well, Eubanks is making 1.2. This would put us really right there on the in terms of the budgeting. I mean, we would have none available until after the season. And let me see, Jason Woolard. He has good leadership skills. He's durable. think we need him. Looking more time at the trading block if there's anybody else. Is all day? No, I just want starters here. So he's the best. He's the best that's out there. He's the only one that I really think we can afford as far as that goes. So, Eubanks, hate to see you go, but we need this. All right, so fan interest improved quite a bit. So Deshaun Woolard, you're going to be ahead of Barbarossa. And now we're going to have to make some adjustments there at the lineup to replace Eubanks. How's this Logan guy? Our guy can only play second. So I think Barajas could handle the infield. Let me see how he is against lefties. I'll play him like every 5th game. I'm hesitant. I'm really hesitant to bring up Radebaugh again. I think he needs play time, although he did look pretty good for us, considering he'd never been higher than single A. Sellers can play multiple positions. Benefield looking pretty good in Lehigh Valley. I'm going to save. I'm just going to bring Sellers up. I'm going to save Benefield for later. Sellers, he can play first if he needs to. He's got some speed. Put him as a defensive sub there. And then I'll play him over Hug. All right. I know this is getting it. Maybe I'll start him every like 7th game there. And then Sellers here. Here. And then I think I'll do the same thing here. Unfortunately, he's not rated as good against righties, but we'll give him a chance. All right, so let's see if we can finish out at least. Yeah, we're about to the All-Star break. So we're 10 games above 500, but that was a big blow losing Dion. Now we got on the road against Washington, game 1. We lose 4-5. Bond, a good game, 3 for 4. Gutierrez, 3 for 4. His averages dipped quite a bit, though. And Ings, 5 innings, just 3 runs. That's doable. But that bullpen continues to scare me. Game 2 against Washington, and the All-Star teams are coming out. I'm not sure who we might. Parker, I think, has got a good chance. Gutierrez might have a good chance. So we did win 5-2. Bond 3 for 5. He's playing really well. Tupper 20 home runs for him now. Norman looking pretty decent. Warlick has come up average-wise about 10 points, or point whatever, 10, since this episode started. Barbarossa got his 5th win. Hatakeyama his 16th save. But let's take a look at the All-Star. Oh, man, Contreras. It's going to be another 2 weeks before he's ready. So, All-Star game rosters, American League. See if there's any names we recognize. Kurt Hines. Wow, a former Philly who's in the bullpen there for California, doing pretty good, or Los Angeles, having a pretty decent year as a reliever. Ma, who's off to that great year in Tampa Bay, All-Star again for him. And that's all I see there. Now, National League, Pete Parker did make it. Hatakeyama makes it first year, and he's in the All-Star game. Good accomplishment. Ian Norman, All-Star again. That's 3 times for him. And then Ted Wildbacher, former Philly, closing at Chicago. He's in the All-Star game. Suzuki, he's in there, but he's having an off year for Arizona. Brandon Kinsler, Jim Gutierrez, so he makes it. That might be his first time in the All-Star game. Good deal for him. And that's it. But a couple offensive guys, a couple pitchers, not too bad. But how about Kinsler? Just taking a look at him. I think it was fan voting that probably put him in there. I mean, his rewards are full. He's still on pace for 35 home runs, 5 WAR. Oh, man. This guy has had such a great career. He's a free agent after this season. I doubt he's going to get to 3,000 hits. He won't need it in terms of the Hall of Fame. 666 home runs. That's an interesting number, but a great career from this guy. All right, so last game against Washington. Can we end the episode on a sweep? And we do 11-1. I think that was a sweep, right? No, we won 2 of 3. So we did win the series. Good game to end it on, though. Bond 2 for 5. He's having a good run. And Warlick, Vega, Norman 2 for 4. He might, on pace for 9 home runs. I was about to say he might hit double digits in home runs this year. And then Pete Parker, 10th win for him. Solid outing. On pace for 18. Good season, so he's bounced back from injury and is looking pretty good. We got a trade proposal here, but it's for Zach Thompson. And no to that. So players of the week, Juan Perez for Houston, Chris Taylor. Power rankings, we're back up to 6, so that's good. So we're going into the All-Star break. 3.5 games up. So we basically maintained. We did pick up some. We were 7 games above 500 when this episode started. We're now 11 games above 500. So for July, that means we're 5-1. We've started off pretty good here. But we got a lot of work to do, I'm afraid. We got to improve that bullpen. We've got to maybe pick up a player here and there, or maybe a call up from AAA can help that offense at this point. With the injuries to pitching, that's become my prime concern right now. I don't know how Woolard has yet to pitch, so he's probably due to start pretty soon. So we'll see how he does. He may be enough to kind of turn it around for us in the second half. I'm not sure, but in some ways, I guess I should be happy. I mean, we're trying to repeat as National League East Division winners and get back to the World Series. It could be worse, but I'm not completely satisfied either. But as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you're enjoying the series still. I'll come back and the next episode, like I usually do. We'll probably have about 20 games left in September. See if we got another playoff run in us. Hopefully we'll be playing better by then, and a lot of these injuries will be taken care of. Dion will probably be about ready to come back at that point, hopefully. But until then, I'll see you next episode. Thanks.